how did you feel from the date? And the second question is, did you like the version of yourself on the date? Why these two specific questions? And feel free to add anything.
I want to say, first of all, those are not just questions for men. Those are questions for anybody. I think those questions apply equally. So the problem that people make on dates is it becomes like a job interview. In a job interview, you're trying to present the best picture of yourself, but you probably are paying very little attention to the job. You're so preoccupied with selling yourself that you're not even stopping to notice, what would it be like to work here? And usually people go back and do that in a second. But what's going to determine the success or failure of your time there, your happiness there, is what it was like for you to be there. And so it's something that people balk at, but I would say, I love you means I love the me I am when I'm with you. And I am completely different because when I'm with you, like this is a great interview because you are, a lot of times the interviews just sort of take the top layer off and they get the sort of soundbite me, right? But you're inviting me to go much deeper. I'm not schizophrenic. I'm not multiple personality. I'm just in a relationship now that's inviting parts of me. So I would talk to you again anytime because I like how I feel in this experience. So it's the same as a date. You know, people go off on the most esoteric, odd details. Obvious ones like, you know, how much money does he make? How does she look? Or what? But they miss the basic, like, you didn't say if you had a good time. Did you enjoy yourself? Did you have fun? It's pretty straightforward. It's a lot simpler. If you had a good time, who wouldn't go back if you had a good time? And then really what determines whether or not you're having a good time is if you liked how you were. So if you get cranky and argumentative and defensive, I don't like that part of myself. I have it. And if I go to certain political contexts, you will absolutely see that part of me. But I don't want to live there all the time. I don't mind going there occasionally. But if I'm sitting with someone and I find myself comfortable, maybe I take my shoes off and I'm talking about things I didn't think I was going to talk about. Boy, I haven't thought about that in years. I feel so comfortable talking to you. That's a great first date.
And it's interesting because in my line of work or interpersonally, a lot of men ask questions about, I wonder how she felt. And even with your questions, the undercurrent is the I statement. And I want to dovetail into another thing you said in passing in different interview where you talked about only we are responsible for our own feelings. Feelings is not external. It's not predicated. Is how do I feel? But then going back to what I said, so many men are caught up worrying about, because as you said, they're worrying about curating the perfect versions so they can get to the second date.
Exactly.
But if you didn't enjoy the first date and if you're glossing over how you felt in the first date, who cares about the who cares if how they felt? Like, where are you in this equation?
You didn't enjoy it. They probably didn't enjoy it either. And so I worked with a guy once who set up the world's best first dates. He would spend like $1,000 on a first date. He'd bring in a band and this and that, and the other, to people he didn't know at all. And they very rarely, almost never wanted to go back on a second date. And he was like, wait a minute, I gave you such a great experience, but I think if I could have met those women and talked to them, they would have said it was too much, didn't feel real. Why is he giving this to me? He doesn't even know who I am. It's not genuine. It's not authentic. Whereas people sometimes have great dates going for a walk together or whatever, just doing something. I always suggest to people, invite other people to do things you like to do, but see, they try to figure out what the other person wants to do, but you're not going to be truly yourself there. You're going to be awkward and uncomfortable. So if you like to play bridge, see if she likes to play bridge. If you like to go hike in the mountains, invite her to come hike in the mountains. If you like to go to the movies, be yourself.
I do want to criticize men for a quick second where...
Okay, I'll tolerate it. But I'm likely to respond.
So a lot of men, I think we pride our identities, our proclivity towards being logical or rational, right? We almost wear that as a badge, as an armor. Oh, I'm logical, I'm rational. But if you really think about logos or logic, being logical is doing what's the most optimal based on the circumstances at hand. that's logic by pure definition. So if men knows that women value intimacy, vulnerability, authenticity, if we have these data points of how one prefer. So what's the logical thing to do? It's not logical to do things that you see fit that's not aligned and mismatched with women's preferences. True logic would be doing what's most optimal for both parties involved. And I think we need to redefine what logical means, because being logical does not mean aligned with your way of thinking. That's not logic. That's just subjective biases. What's logical is, what is the circumstances at hand? Oh, this woman seems like she values intimacy, real experiences that's not highly curated. Then be logical by doing that, because that's going to incite or induce the best outcome.
I'm with you, but I want to broaden it a little bit. I don't think it's just women who like intimacy. I think men like intimacy just as much as women. And so when you go with that, it's not just responding to what someone else wants. So one of the things I like to ask couples when they get involved in these esoteric, oh, this will never work because she likes to vacation on the beach and I like to vacation in the mountains. It's like, which I hear, and I say to them, what do you think couples, like long-term couples, spend most of their time doing? Not sex, not going on vacation. It's hanging out and doing nothing. It's just reading the paper together, watching a TV show, hanging out with another couple. It's just very ordinary, everyday. So if you want to find if you're going to match with somebody, don't take them to the Four Seasons because you're not going to be going there very often. Take them to ordinary, everyday life experiences, because that's what makes a relationship. It's pretty ordinary stuff.
And I think it's the stark contrast of the ordinary that makes it extraordinarily shine. Right? Like the power of awe and the power of mindfulness will lose its essence if everyone's mindful and if everything's awe. Thank you for discovering more with us this week. If you enjoyed watching this video, check out the full-length episode at one of the windows that pops up. And as always, see you again in next week's train of Discover More. Thank you for tuning in.